Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are here for something very special, hopefully, fingers crossed, which is to finish the first draft of my second novel. I'm sleep deprived, I've had 2 days of technological difficulties, but as the stream title says, this will not end until it is done. I am one scene away from the end. Yeah, one scene. So it shouldn't be beyond reasonable ability. We'll see how it goes. Let's have a look. What have we got going on here? Just getting some stuff that I think I need, including a copy of Drawing Red, which you can kind of see on the monitor behind me. I have a paperback version in my hand because I need to reference something as a start. Hopefully it won't be too difficult. So, I reckon we just hop straight in with this. Let's see if we can hop onto the work screen. There we go. This is where I left off. I have one thing to check on this scene, and then we are here to write the end scene of this book. Hello, Marilyn. Welcome into the chat. Thank you for your words of welcome. As the stream title suggests, I am here to finish my novel, and the stream will not end until I have written the end. Let's see. Just got a few last things to set up. That's better. Much better. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to start this 15-minute timer off. And we have Marilyn complimenting the purple and blue in my hair colour. Thank you. I think it goes well with this particular background. Okay, let's set this timer. Feel free to enjoy the lo-fi or do something that you want to do enjoying the music. If you've got work to do, do that. If not, chill out. Feel free to hang out. And we'll see if I can get this thing done. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And that's the end of the first sprint. How did everybody get on? There we go. How did everybody get on? That was the end of the first sprint. I got 148 words. A blank page is always the worst, so I'm glad to get this scene on the move. I get the feeling this might turn into 2 scenes. It depends on how long I need to string this out. I know there's a lot of things that need to happen in this chapter. Originally I thought this scene would just be like an end scene, but I seem to have invented a little scene before that as well. So this could be longer than I thought. Let's see, how long was the last scene? Okay, fair enough. Welcome into the chat, Sybil. Nice to meet you. Sybil and Espada. Always nice to have someone more illustrated in the chat. Just having a quick break. I got 148 words. I think I have 2 scenes to finish this novel to write. Here's hoping that it goes smoothly. When I started this, I thought there was only 1 scene, but I think I've invented a second one that has to happen, just to try to wrap things up properly. I'm Adara, a VTuber author. I'm writing young adult paranormal romance and sci-fi as a cross, a bit of a fusion if you like. My first novel, Drawing Red, is out, available anywhere books are sold. And I'm currently writing the sequel in a bid to say that novel 1 was not a fluke. Novel 1 took 5 years. But here we are, in the end of this one, finally. Let's see. I'm thinking I'm going to boost the next sprint up to 25 minutes in classic Pomodoro style, to really get into the flow. People can feel free to do any work they like as well, writing, or just chillax. Enjoy the music, enjoy the lo-fi. And if anyone has any questions for me, let me know. Gonna have a drink. I always think that looks funny on VTubing. Not bad. Aha! Good luck. I have a writing challenge I need to finish today, just waiting to bring my dog inside. Oh, pets. Pets can be a thing. I'm wondering how long it's gonna be before I get a cat interruption on my desk. It tends to happen about once per stream. I think they realise that if I'm sat here, then I'm gonna be here for a while. And that's kind of where my attention is, like towards the screens. I'd be curious to know what your writing challenge is. I'm going to kick off the next sprint now. Feel free to tell me in the chat. I will be chatting every now and again there. I'd only go mute for sprints, but I'm there for chat. And I'm also curious to find out more about your dog. I'm quite nosy that way. Right, let's get this thing on the move again. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And that's the end of the first Pomodoro sprint. How did everybody get on? Welcome to people who are new, who joined us during that sprint. Welcome any lurkers. You are always welcome as well. I got 356 words that round. Bringing this scene up to 509. Not bad. I think there's a lot of closure happening in this scene, which you can expect towards the end of a novel, which I'm really, really pleased about. It's kind of that time where a bunch of different plot threads need to be pulled together and just tied off at the end. And also to lay the seeds for potentially novel 3. Which I am expecting this to be at least a trilogy. Potentially a 4th book in the series. Welcome, Sam, to the chat. Just to say hello to some other people who arrived during that sprint. Welcome, Dal. It's good to have you as well. Dal says, I couldn't write anything. Been struggling with this chapter for weeks, so I'll eventually find the right place to start. You will. You will. You'll get there. And I think it's very, very good, very observant and aware of you to know what needs to be deleted. That's always a skill that no one really tells you that you need being a writer. But given your book, The Weaver in the Moth, yeah. I think you could probably be teaching us all about writing. Sybil Underspada says, I had to use voice typing since Doggy wanted to be carried, but I added about 100 words to my total, so I'm at 1.4k. That's impressive. That is very impressive. I hadn't considered really voice writing, dictation. I think the one time I tried, the grammar gave me such a headache later on that I just couldn't come back to it. Although I imagine for a lot of people it does work. I've heard of people going on walks and writing, like via talking as they walk. Marilyn says she has to leave, but she hopes to catch us in the next one. No problem, thank you. Thank you for coming and I'll see you again. Dal says no, she still has so much to learn. I don't think anyone ever stops. Although, to be fair, some authors I can see, okay, they can teach me a lot, but yeah, I do think you have an awareness which is more than most. And that's why I kind of like your writing, because it is very well thought through. For people who are just joining, hi. I will not stop the stream until I write the end. This is the sequel to my debut novel, The Never-Ending First Draft, which has probably spanned about 2 years now. I even procrastinated to the point of publishing the first book of the series to put off finishing this, in classic kind of writer procrastination. But here we are. The grammar drives me crazy, but it helps getting my thoughts out and teach myself that a draft isn't perfect. Exactly. It's what I have to keep reminding myself. Write as if you're the only person who's ever going to see this first draft. Then edit as if everyone is. It's something I've really had to let go of, is the idea of perfection to get this first draft going. I think it's probably why it's taken me so long. I've had an awful lot of life events happen in the last 2 years. A lot of health stuff for me, people around me, and it just got to a point where there was never going to be any perfect time to do this. So I'm jumping in with 2 feet to really just get it done. And since I've started that mentality, my productivity has kind of gone through the roof. I couldn't be happier with it, to be honest. I'm still quite sleep deprived, but I think when you get to a certain point, that turns off your inner editor, which is really helpful at this point. But when I eventually get to the point of revisions, then yeah, I'm quite brutal with revisions. I kind of do it layer by layer. Every time I go through the story, I'll add something else. Just kind of build it up that way. Delete things if not necessary. But yeah. I'd like to remind people to hydrate, have a stretch, do what you need to do. And I will start the next sprint in about a minute. I'm going to have some water. Dal says, the next chapter I struggle with is because a main character just showed up and they're being strangely helpful to the main character, and I don't know the real motivation for it yet. Sometimes you do get genuinely nice people. And I think that's the bane of an author's existence, because everything's meant to be conflict. I'm sure you'll come up with something. Right, Sam says, okay, sleep. What is sleep? Exactly. But at this point I've realised even if I do get a full night's sleep, I live with chronic fatigue. So I'm always going to wake up and live with some level of being tired anyway. Despite my protesting and trying to be in denial for the last 2 years, that, okay, I'll just wait until I'm a bit more rested to do this. No. It's not going to happen. I may as well work with what I've got. Sybil and Espada says, I recently got an ADHD diagnosis, and learning about myself is helping a lot to tackle my setbacks. Yeah, it's incredible how much a diagnosis and awareness can change someone. I wrote my entire first novel sitting on a shalong with my feet up, or on a bed, because I have POTS. I can't sit with my feet down too long, or stand up for too long, because I faint. So at my desk now, which I've only now revived like this year, I'm sitting with my feet up on a footstool. I can't do it any more than this. And during the sprints I have a fan on, because I'm heat intolerant. I also have autism. So hey, neurospicy. Gotta love it. Dal saying, I just happen to like whales. Doesn't sound like a realistic motivation to help destroying a whaling fleet. I think you couldn't get a much better motivation than that. Mr. Spence's favourite animal is a seal. We visited seal sanctuaries just for the sake of it. We've sponsored seals just for the sake of it. We have seal animals all over the house just for the sake of it. So why not? Right, it says, I don't know, Dal. I do it because I like whales. Dal's, I'm also heat intolerant and being at the desk is hard sometimes. It is. It genuinely is. And it can put you off trying to do work. So I'm trying to find a balance. How much do I put the fan on versus not? I'm also considering, or I'm in the starting stages of looking to produce my own audiobook of Drawing Red, where I would narrate it. And the closest I've got so far to that is working out how to build a duvet fort. Now where I am, it's now summer. It's sweltering. But any sort of fan would be picked up by the microphones. So I'm wondering if I ought to become nocturnal to do that, or just to put it off until the weather is cooler. We'll see. Okay. That was a bit longer than a minute, but no matter. We will get through this. Time for the next sprint. Classic Pomodoro style, I'm going to reset the timer to 25 minutes, because I have a lot of work to get on with. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And that's the end of that sprint. How did everybody get on? I got 253 words that round, bringing this scene up to 755 since I started. Not bad. Still a lot more to go, but this conversation that I'm writing really needs to happen. Also like to give a shout out to Mr. Spence, who came to my rescue towards the end of that sprint. I was starting to feel kind of unwell with POTS. So he's brought me a raspberry salt electrolyte drink. And if you can hear something humming in the background, I've had to put my fan on. Normally I've been keeping it on just during the sprints so you wouldn't hear it. So this is a good test for the noise cancellation. Dal says she got tea, but no words yet. Yeah. Getting a drink is valid. In this stream, it is definitely valid. There's a lot of tension in this scene between particular characters. A lot of highly tensed, hidden feelings have come to the front, are now just on blast. It had to happen. And I'm glad that my story eventually ended with one of my main characters feeling able to do that. So that's definite character development. Rachel saying congrats on the 80k. Yes, during this sprint, apart from feeling faint, I also passed 80,000 words. That was what I projected for the entire novel. I've still got this scene to write. I've got another one. So I'm going to have to be pretty brutal in revisions. But that's fine. I don't mind. Dal says, I'm good at writing conversations, but I'm not that great at writing everything else in between those conversations. I think you can have some very good speech-heavy books, though. It's a genre in itself. And I would love to know how some of this would translate into a radio drama. How you could do things in radio drama style with your particular type of novel, which has a lot of paranormal in it. Sam says she finally broke 7k in this draft. That's impressive. I mean, it's about... I don't know what your overall, word count is, but that's a very decent chunk. Rachel says this section is complete and on the way to the beta readers. Yay! Part 4 is already up and needs edits from my co-author, so it should be done by next weekend. The idea of being a co-author, I think you have to be a very specific person to do that. You need to be very trusting, to know the other person and the writing style, and to have that belief that they can do it is just, yeah. I'm a solo person for a reason, but hats off to you for having the confidence to go with that and to make it work. Let's say, have another quick drink. I'm curious, please tell me if you can hear this fan in the background or not. Or if my noise cancelling and noise gates are actually working. Right. Dal says her first draft is currently at 51,000 words. So kind of halfway done. That's an impressive amount. Especially for halfway. And I've got to say, yours just sounds absolutely fascinating. I would also like to save the whales. Sam says this is a novella. The last one in a tetralogy? So I need 30 to 35. A tetralogy, wow! Rachel says I don't hear any ambient noise. Cool! So the fan isn't actually coming through. I've got this little USB fan on my desk. Good to know that this kind of setup works. I've upgraded my microphone. Before this, it was literally standing on the desk on top of a toilet roll. Now it's actually on a boom arm. So, great. Dal also says I don't hear the fan in the background, but I also have the background sound of the rain turned on my computer. That's nice. Mr. Spence kind of listens to that most of the time as well. Calming. He's kind of sat in the room as well, just kind of in this direction. Yeah. He's waving. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. Because it's hard to tell, although I'm listening to myself at the same time. It's great to have that feedback. With that being said, I'm going to jump into the next sprint. Otherwise, this novel will never get finished. Let's reset this timer. And off we go for another Pomodoro. 3rd in a row, I think. I'm losing count. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And that's time. I think that 25 minutes flew by. I don't know about you. Let's see. Okay, I didn't actually leave a separation to work out where I'd left off, so I have no idea what I wrote during that sprint. But overall, the scene, since this stream started, is now 1,177 words. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I'll take that. It's coming along. I think it'll still need more work. At one point, I did have cat interference. I knew it would happen. It always does eventually. I have 2 black cats called Thelonious and Karibo. And guaranteed, every single time I sit at this desk, at some point, Thelonious comes and hops up, standing over the keyboard between me and the monitor. Dal got 264 words. That's really good. I am hoping that that has brought us closer to saving those whales. It's 264 words closer to that. I'm trying to think how to round this scene off. This scene that I didn't think I'd actually need. When I started this, I only thought I'd need 1 scene, but I'm finding a way to feed this extra 1 into the very last one. So I'm making it all one big long thing. I think it's going well. Worlds are colliding from one particular kind of main character's point of view. It's like he's been on a journey where all these people he's met are now meeting people who he knew before the journey, and now they're interacting. It's one of those things that in real life it blows my mind when people from different areas end up talking to each other, or where people on different social medias who know me from different places all of a sudden start chatting with each other. Mind explosion. Sam says 372 words. It's so difficult for me to write a character that has a huge fear of animals. Yeah. I don't know if I could write that, to be honest. I do have a friend who was deathly scared of dogs. To the point where she'd cross over a road and get into someone stranger's car to escape one, walking down the other side. And that's a true story. I can't get into that headspace to write that, though. It's just so foreign. I grew up with dogs. Dal says that... Is it Tybor? I've always read that in my head as Tybor. Tybor. It's always been Tybor in my head. Not sure why. Has figured out that the whaler has drones, so he's going to need some help because he's not capable of astral flight. Sybil and Espada said they added another 100 words, trying to incorporate the prompt of a message in a bottle. Ooh, that's nice. That is very nice. For being a short story, I could imagine that playing out in so many different ways and for so many different things. Are you going to be publishing the short story by any chance? Because I'd be really interested to read that. Rachel says, I believe I've gotten done with everything but the beta reading. I'm logging off to get a break on my eyeballs. Then on to that. Thank you for the spins. No problem. No problem. You host plenty. And hopefully I can be hopping into yours more often as well. That says no. Tybor, the eyes like an E. Tibor. Tibor? Sam says, exactly. I was raised in the country, so I had all the farm animals and wild animals. I can't wrap my head around fearing them unless they're absolutely angry or rabid. Yeah, I grew up with some very large dogs. A rough collie, which is kind of like if you've ever seen the TV show Lassie, it's one of them. And then after that, a German Shepherd, so an Alsatian. That says it's a Hungarian name. Sorry about that. Tibor. No, that's nice. I actually prefer it over how I was pronouncing it. I really do. I'm, at some point during this revision, going to have to come up with a name of a place. In my novel, I've been trying to keep all the names kind of fictionalized. So you can kind of imagine that they're based like in the UK, but they're not anywhere that actually exists. But in this book, I need somewhere that sounds somewhere like Norway. And I'm going to have to come up with hotel names and things like that and actual locations of buildings. So I'm going to have to do quite a bit of research into that because we are leaving the country. And the planet, of course. We have to have this novel leaving the planet at some point. Otherwise it just wouldn't be my type of sci-fi. But still, yeah. I'd say a Norway-esque country features in this, just like a UK-esque country does. I never specifically named them, I don't think. The closest I've got was naming Christmas at one point. Dal saying, I used to work as a pet sitter, and I used to take care of 3 Doberman girls. Yes, this tiny-blooded woman stayed with 3 large dogs. Oh, Dobermans, that's incredible. Sybil and Espada says, the story will be judged by the Forest and Fawn group, which will take 3 months. After that, I should be free to publish on my Substack. Need to double-check the rules first. Yeah, a lot of those competitions have weird rules about that. It's always worth double-checking. But even more worth it, though, if you win or get a runner-up with bragging rights. Dal says, oh, Scandinavian hotel names. I could help with Icelandic if needed. I'm not entirely too sure what country this is meant to be based on. I just know that it is something in that region. I need something with a very, very, very big forest. I need to do research to pin that down, to look more into what names would be appropriate to specific areas, and then we need to come up with something fictional. Yes, I remember that you have a... Yeah, I remember all of your Northern Lights images. And was it Finland that you quite liked as well? Finnish. Sam says, I love Dobermans. They look so regal for the most part. And for 1 second they go to... That's what I like about my cats. And to be honest, yeah, the German Shepherd had his derpy moments as well. With the ear flops. The ear flops were everything. They'll say Sweden or Norway for big forests. That's why I was thinking Norway. I travelled to Norway on my honeymoon. And I went sailing kind of through the fjords on a cruise. And I went up on a train through the mountains. And I remember there were an awful lot of forests. And I remember a specific creature who was there kind of from mythology called a huldra. And that was almost like a female forest siren who would sing to lure men way into the forest. I haven't exactly written that into the novel, but maybe one day the huldra will have their debut. Dal says Finland has even bigger forests, but the Finnish language is completely different branch from the Scandis. My sister is learning Finnish at the moment. Was it Finnish? Was it Finnish? No. Swedish. Was it Swedish? Swedish. I apologise to the Finns in chat and around the world, and any time travellers who watch this VOD. Yeah, she's learning Swedish at the moment, because she has a bunch of Swedish friends, and some hang out in a D&D group online. Thank you for the tip-off. Right, I'm gonna have another drink, have a bit of a stretch, and then I'm going to march on. Someday I need to just have a pure reading stream. That would be fun. But I understand the need for people to leave this. For the sensitivity reading that I'm doing at the moment, I've printed out an entire novel. It's spiral bound, and I'm going through it with highlighters. And that's a good way to get me kind of away from the screen, so I can look up at it to like type notes, then go back to the manuscript. Something tactile. It's nice as well. Right. Next Pomodoro sprint. At some point I think I might be eating in the middle of this, who knows? Dal says, I'll take a look at Scandi name suggestions for the hotel. Thank you. What I need to look at is naming conventions. So what I'm thinking about doing is looking up a bunch of different names, see how they've been named, if there's a naming theme, and then see what I can translate. That's my original idea of how I'm going to go about it in the first place. That'll be even more fun to do in terms of an audiobook. In this first audiobook, I'm already going to have to speak Esperanto and a line or two of Arabic. So we'll see where the second one takes us. That's what you get, though, when you've got entire species who've kind of gone off-world. They do come from all corners of the globe, so that kind of needs to be touched on a bit. Yeah. Okay. No more spoilers. Time to get back into another sprint. In 3, 2, 1, and go! And that's the end of the sprint. Vicky had to say goodbye. She's been lurking in the background of this session. But she says, right, I'm going to bow out now and actually do some adulting that I've been putting off for a while. Hope to catch you next stream. Thank you. I hope to see you again. She's been lurking pretty much this entire time. I'm impressed she's stayed this long. Truly. I've started my very last scene now. And I don't think it's going to be much longer before I finish, hopefully. Fingers crossed, who knows. I'm hoping to type the end potentially in the next 25 minutes. Fingers crossed. I've had this ending scene in my head from the very first moment I started this book. From the very first plans and plotting, the first scene that came to my head was this ending. So I've been working towards something the entire time. Sam says you reminded me to eat lost, so I did that. Let the dogs out, have some sun time, came back up with another idea for a later chapter and said you can do it. Thank you. I've actually had food arrive as well, so I'm probably going to be munching away during this next sprint. Yeah, I need some food too. Get some salt into my system. Dal says 132 words in the sprint, plus the Google Maps session. Thank you so much for that diversion. It has been very helpful. It's going to take a fair while for me to decide on a name, and then to try and run it by people for authenticity as well, and to cross-check that it doesn't actually exist. So, yeah, having a drink. Yeah, so the plan is to eat and work during the next round. I also had cat interference number 2. I'm amazed that they haven't arrived now that food is in the room, to be honest. It probably won't be that long. Okay, as soon as I said that, one of them's come in. Yeah. Oh well. I'm just enjoying this fan. It's really nice and cooling. Right. I have to push on. This needs to be finished. This never-ending draft. Have a bit of a stretch. I'll make sure to grab a bite to eat while I go. And hopefully I will see you on the other side in 25 minutes with the end. Thank you so much for everyone who's been tagging along. And for anyone lurking, of course, always still welcome. And hello to any time travellers who are watching the VOD. Okay. Last 25 minutes. Hopefully, fingers crossed. See what we can do. Because of the eating, I might swap out into a different avatar. This particular avatar, it responds when I speak, but not necessarily the movement of this one. It's a little chibi version of my mod. Dal says for foreign names, I am the person. You are indeed. You definitely have the track record and the interest. So far in this sequel, I've had to figure out a Japanese name, a Thai name for a futuristic tuk-tuk, some Chinese Peruvian restaurant names. That's awesome. Let's hop out to a different avatar. Let's see. And poof. That's better. Just to finish off for a little while. I've gone chibi mode. I love her. She's just little, she's cute. She's big eyes, big head, and just cute and just writing away in a little book there. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to start the sprint. I'm going to eat some food, and I'll get some typing done. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. That's the end of the sprint. I think I might need to write one more line, and then I can write the end. One last line, and then this is done. Let's do it. I'll be quick. And in big capital letters here, the end. And it is done. Finished. 2 years worth of writing on and off. I am so pleased for this. So pleased. Right. Let's get rid of this desk. I don't think I need it anymore. Yes. Oop. Oh, and I'm in my chibi form. One moment. There we go. Dal says, didn't write this much that sprint because I had to leave the desk for a short rest. That's understandable. Tried to write on the phone, but earbuds needed to charge. Yeah. Changing location can be a killer. Thank you for the congratulations. This has been going on for so long. I procrastinated with this novel so often, to the point of actually publishing another one, to starting to plot another one in the middle as well. But here we are, 2 years later. The first book was not a fluke. This is done. Oh, I can't believe it. Ah, makes me want to burst out into wings. There you go. Ah. And let's get back to the office. There we go. Back in my natural habitat. What I'm showing now is my avatar with white wings. I still don't know if it's a bird person or an angel, and I don't think I care to know. And in the background is a photograph of kind of my office. So you can just see a desk set up and the Shaylong in there as well, so for me to put my feet up when I need something more. It feels like the end of an era. I already know there's going to be so much revisions for this, but my plan now is to close it, probably make it into a PDF, at some point print it off and make it spiral bound, and then not look at it for about a month or two. Dalsing, I would love to know how to stream with this cute avatars. Yeah, I have two different types. One is called a PNG tuber. That one moves purely with the sound of my voice. So it automatically blinks and the mouth flap will move with me. That uses a different type of software to this one that moves with me. And this one uses more facial tracking. I think I also procrastinated by spending an entire month learning how to do writing streams. And then I spent another so many weeks learning about these models. And then at another point, the story got into some quite dark places. And it reflected a bit far too clearly life and life events that were happening. So at that point, I said I needed something a bit more cheerful. And that's the story that Vicky was referencing earlier. And it's hopefully a romantic comedy about angels and demons. Completely unrelated to this series. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to take a break from this, probably for about a month or two. In the meantime, I have another series to plot. I have some sensitivity reading to do. And I'm going to continue researching how best to do an audiobook. Thank you all for being here. The stream will indeed end now, because I have written the end. Dal, if you want any more specifics or technical information, just send me a message on whatever platform you want, and I can have that conversation with you about software and things, and where I've got mine from. That's not a problem. I'm gonna go now. There's some food with my name on it. Thank you all for being here. Dal says I also procrastinated the sequel with another novella I'm about to publish next month. They do say that the second novel is harder than the first. And I think it's because I'm a lot better of a writer than I was the first time round, and I'm a lot more critical. But at the same time, I also feel like I've completely forgotten how to write. Because of all the revisions, publishing, marketing stuff as well, I'm kind of out of practice. Sybil Espada says the one Adara has right now is called a live 2D model. Yes, it is. You use a smartphone or webcam with a certain software. Yes. That is it. Dal says thank you. I'll message you and thank you for the stream. No problem. Thank you all for turning out. I have no idea when the next stream will be. A lot of it depends on my energy with a lot of my chronic illnesses. The next one, hopefully though, might be some reading for sensitivity reading or some plotting. General productivity. But this one, I thought it deserved its own stream just to push through that blockage. And with that being said, I will say, well, from me I'll say good night. It is 9:25 at night where I am in the UK. I don't know where other people are from. Yes. Let's have a look. Okay. Bye everyone!